Hi, everybody. Yes, I was sure the reason I knew Van was having trouble with the internet is not that he wasn't here. He was here and then he wouldn't hear anything, or I wouldn't hear him. Mostly I heard him actually every time, but he had to like leave and come back and leave and come back. So that was what we were trying to like figure out right beforehand. But, sir, how are you today? Well, now you're muted.
Am I muted?
There you go. You came
Hello?
back. You're here now.
Okay, I was on this delay because I kept hearing the music, so it was like I could hear you speaking in the present, but I could hear the music from the past. So I was living between dimensions.
So,
Oh!
see, as Nabel. So, Van, how was that sack anime?
I did not get to go. We did not. We got excited because we got an email that says, "Hey, in case we have any last minute dropouts, would you guys be ready?" So we thought that meant they had last minute dropouts, but alas, they did not. So we did not get to go.
Bummer.
Ah!
Hi, Duran. Glad to see you back. And hello, Night Vision. I hope today and tonight that our show puts a little smile on your face. Hello, 2021 God. Hello, how are you? Saying
Hey,
hi
I just want
to
to say a
everybody
really
we
quick
can.
thank you to to everybody and all of our loyal friends, Cienzabel, Night Vision, Duran. There's so many of you that come back like week after week, and you totally make this worthwhile doing. Going out to more conventions and going further away from home, I've run into more people that have watched
Hmm.
the show that I didn't know existed. So it's nice to know it. I love talking to you every week, Mez. I truly do, but it's nice to know that our voices are going further than just the two of
Oh,
us.
Mr.
Because
Burger.
I could just
Yeah,
come to
I
your house and have
understand.
coffee if it was just
I
going to be the
really
two of us.
wanted to. Yeah. Well, hi, Mr. Burger. I'm glad you're not. He's on his tablet, so instead of being Jedi Council of America, it does say Mike Burger this time. Well,
Oh,
I
hello, Mike. We
am
appreciate you.
doing fine myself. Mezzo's leaving again in a little over a week. I'm going to New Jersey, and I'll have
Sheesh.
everything edited. If we have our guest sorted out before then, I'll edit everything before leaving, and we'll just find a host. But it's good to see all of you. I'm glad to be here. But what is our first thing we do on our show, sir? Do you know?
Nerdy news. Oh, that was so
The
off time. I was
nerdy.
expecting music.
You were so funny. The nerdy news. Today is about Star Wars Outlaws here. Star Wars
Ooh.
Outlaws has been released, and it's kind of a how do you say mixed reviews for a lot of people. If you want to check
Yeah.
out the article that I put below, it is in the description and is in the chat right now. You can see it right there over Van's face. You can look it out, but a lot of people talked about the effects. It's better. It's not like the best effects, but it's better optimized than like Jedi Survivor. And people were like happy that it was like half the size of Jedi Survivor when it came to like space on your computer to like take up. I haven't played it yet. Yes, as Nabel says, I heard Star Wars Outlaws I heard it's a very buggy game. It's really hard for a lot of devs, no matter how big the studio, their test group is not going to be nearly as big as the actual player base. And there will be things that are found by the players that the test group didn't experience because there's only so many of them. I am staff in the Discord. Hi, Mr. Oreo. I am staff in the Discord for a indie dev studio that does games, and their test group is nowhere near as big as the player base. And so when things get released, things are found, things happen, and they'll probably come out with a patch, I would assume, at some point for little hot fixes and such. But it happens. It's part of making it. And we missed you too, Mixtorio. We missed you
Yeah, we
too.
missed
Touch
you
my
too.
heart. I'm trying to make it
Ooh, It's
a
always it's
just
always lovely when
correctly.
our friends come back
All right, so that is the
because our
first bit of
friends know
news.
where we're
Now,
going to be.
do you know what happened 85 years ago yesterday?
Oh my goodness, 85 years ago yesterday. I
Do
do
you
not.
know? Marvel
Anybody
came
in the
out with their
audience
first
know what
comic.
happened? Uh oh. Wow.
Yeah, so 85 years ago
Wow.
yesterday,
The
Stan
very
Lee
first
released the
Marvel.
first one. Yeah, the very first Marvel comic. It is a really cool article about it. There's a nice, really like a few minute video talking a little bit about it. If you want to check it out, I just popped it into the chat. It's also in the description if you're watching the upload. It's really interesting. It talks about, it just kind of like a brief overview throughout the years, and the article goes into more detail as well. I suggest checking it out. It's really neat. So, Stan Lee forever in our hearts. We are very excited and very thankful for coming up with
I
these
love
heroes that
Stanley.
have given so many people hope over the years, and jobs. So thank you so much for that. So that is your nerdy news for today. I almost clicked on Graveyard on accident. I'm so sorry. I almost clicked on him instead of removing that from the studio. I'd be like, oops. Oh my goodness.
I
Every
wanted to
week,
ask.
sure.
Wait, I wanted to ask you. Do you know offhand? It may have been on the beginning because it used to be on the beginning of every show, and I haven't noticed it lately. But do you know what episode this is? I know we're closing
It's
in on
like
200.
no, we're over 200 now.
We're over
When
200.
yeah, so the night you were talking about it and I wasn't on, you were on with Tony. It was like
Mm-hmm.
199. So I think we're at like 202 or 203 now.
Oh man, that's a bummer. I wanted to do like a something for 200. Can we get those listed back at the beginning of shows again? I miss having that.
The list? What do you mean?
The
I'm so
number every time it
confused.
used to have the number of the episode before.
I did, but you wanted titles to be different, sir.
I know, but I like that part.
You are you're such a punk. Okay, Bandit, don't work with him. Just never work with him.
Never work with me. I'll always want more. It'll never be enough.
It's not that you always want more, you always change your mind. All right, Mixed Story says, how do we feel about Gambit, a solo movie worthy? I love Gambit.
Oh.
I love that character.
Did you
So,
like Channing Tatum as Gambit? Did you like that specific version of him? Because there was the other version of Gambit in the old X-Men movies.
yeah, and I'm fine with Channing Tatum as Gambit. I didn't know the history of him trying to get a Gambit movie made for like years.
Right. Right.
And so I actually didn't know about that. And when his cameo came up in Deadpool, I was like, "What?" And then I found out like that his dad is from the New Orleans area, and he can speak a bit of the language and the Cajun and stuff like that. So a lot of what he was doing was was very legit. And I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I don't think he's too old for it or anything like a lot of people might think. Gambit wasn't necessarily like the one I'm used to is from the animated series. That's the Gambit I know. Yeah, and McStory says, and what about in Blade? That was pretty awesome to see Wesley Snipes walking in. It's like, what's up? He knows. He knew. They knew. He knew the kind of effect he would have coming in. I think Van's frozen, so he might kick himself out and come back in. There he is. There he is. He's back. He's back. You were frozen for a second, but I can't hear anything. You're completely quiet. There's no sound coming from you, Van. But Gambit was really cool. I know him from the original animated series. That's what I'm used to. If you want to kick yourself out and come back in, Van, see if it helps, because I cannot hear you. You're muted at the moment. It shows you like a slice through your microphone. So, all right, sounds good. Anyway, so what did you think, guys, in the audience here, our viewers watching us? Did you like them as their characters when they came in as their cameos? Do you think Gambit could do a movie? I think it could be fun. I'd go and see it, but I like Gambit a lot. I like his character. I just didn't realize that Channing Tatum was going to be popping in and that he had tried so hard to get that. You do think so, Asnable? Yes. Yes to all. Give them all movies again. I know that they've been working on Blade for Mahershala Ali. I know that was like in pre-production works things. But, sometimes Marvel movies can be like, it feels like forever. Bike, you think you did a great job. I think it's like years before it actually gets started on. I'm still trying to ice skate uphill. I know that's a saying, isn't it? I know it. I've heard. That's something I think Wesley Snipes said, right? Okay, Graveyard's nodding for me. I knew I had it right there somewhere. Mixed Story says, I thought that Shining did a beautiful job. Everyone is hating on him, and I don't understand. I think people just don't understand his approach. I think that if they knew more about his approach to the character and why it makes sense of him doing it, they'd appreciate it more. But people are so quick to judge because they see Channing Tatum, they just think former exotic dancer and comedic actor. They don't think about him being a superhero. I think that's too quick to judge, but I think people should learn more about his approach and why he's really good for that character. All right, so every week, James Kaiser, our producer, brings us a flow of the show. And this week, I really liked he's got like a really cool flow, our flow artist this week. So if you want to check him out, his link is in the description below. I'll throw it into the chat right quick, and you guys can also check him out during the show if you'd like to. Shaolin Rope Dart is his name on YouTube, but his Tam Fazio is his name. Please enjoy our flow of the show. I have an old friend, Ubi, down there saying hi. So hello, my friend Ubi. I've known him since I started streaming quite a while ago. Van will get unmuted sometime soon. Yes, Raph, hello, Raph, hello. How are you? So I want to thank James Kaiser for bringing us that flow this week. We very much appreciate it. You are now unmuted, Van, so we should be able to hear you. Yes, we can hear you. So you wanted to say hello to Ubi real quick because love you, Ubi. Metzi loves you. Anyway, hi, Raph.
But, it's
so yes,
so I feel like tonight. A lot of people that we haven't seen in a while are just jumping in. It's a good night. It's a good night to be Kyber K family.
Yeah, it's a very great night. Metzo muted Van. I did not mute Van, so I don't know why this happens, y'all. Okay, this has to do with Van's internet. When we play a video on StreamYard, it's supposed to automatically mute us, okay? It delays muting him, and then it delays unmuting him. So for a moment, we heard you cough during the flow video.
Oh, wow. Lovely.
And it was like, who coughed? I'm like, so I removed you from the screen so you wouldn't even be heard either way, no matter what. You've been gone a while, Ubi. You know what? That's okay. I know IRL, real life stuff just kind of gets in the way. And I said, hi, Jai. I was so excited. I said, HGI. And Ubi said, it's Van. Your coughing was adding to a remix to the music. That's what he says. I love that. That's really good. Thank you, Ubi. Anyway, thank you, James Kaiser, for bringing our flow of the show for today.
Woo!
He'll be back next week bringing us another flow. But without further ado, sir, would you like to introduce our guest who many people on our channel know?
Oh my goodness. If you have been around this channel for any length of time, this should not be a new person to you at all. I can speak the language, I promise. We
Can
just have so
you?
many weird delays tonight. My brain is on a 5 second delay as well.
That's
This
totally.
gentleman is, I would say, along with Mezzo here, is one of the backbones of the Kyber K production families. He produces multiple shows on this channel, especially if you are into gaming. This is going to be somebody that you know. If you are into the latest news and want to know the best gossip on what's coming up on Saturday mornings, getting your bowl of cereal, this is somebody that you want to know. If you're into old games, this is somebody that controls your Monday nights. And if you just like luxurious beards in general, then you definitely know our guest tonight. So with no further ado, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to talk because he is part of the family, but I feel like I haven't talked to him forever. So with no further ado, please give it up for Graveyard. Boom.
I have my copy of Outlaws right here, ready to go.
Ooh. How are you doing, my brother?
Hot and tired.
Yeah, you told me about no air conditioning out there. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's been a blast. It's been a blast. Oh, Ubi had to shave his beard.
Oh no!
Ubi, come
See,
on.
you've got to do it to have it to be a part of the luxurious beard. Unfortunately, I was never a beard in the chair. I never played the games, but I have a beard too. I just wasn't as cool as the club.
It takes
I,
it takes a lot of work to do nothing.
it takes a lot of work to look this fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's going on with you, brother? For those like I had said in the intro, a lot of people in this channel may or may not know you already from the other shows that you do on this channel. You dominate when you look at our playlist of like different types of shows. You dominate like half of them.
Yes, yes.
You got the Retro Alcove. You got the
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning Nerd Out. Then you also had the Thursday night games, the Beard in the Chair games that you would play, and then under different series and stuff like that. So you were all over. And that's not to even mention the podcast. That was how I met you in the first place. The reason we first met you, 2 years ago?
This would be my third annual September showing. It was September 2 years ago.
Woo! Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Is this podcast that you're doing now that has grown by leaps and bounds? I can't wait to hear about it. Tell us what's going on with They Mostly Pod Out at Night. Mostly.
Yeah. So we are prepping for 110th episode now of that show. Yeah. It's going just absolutely gangbusters. We're on 5 continents around the world right now, according to our RSS feed. And we're not stopping. We have no plans to stop.
That is absolutely amazing. Did you think when you guys first started? Now it is not just you. Let people know a little bit about the show. Obviously, you can get maybe an idea looking at the background behind you. Which, by the way, I love that art. It reminds me of you know the band The Gorillaz.
Yes.
It reminds me of the Gorillaz art for some reason. I don't know of it. I love the artwork.
Yeah, the artwork. This is our brand new logo to celebrate because this is our 3rd season. We're wrapping up the 3rd season this year. Eric Ruiz, friend of Discern, who does the Lucharillas stuff, who does the style of Gorillas, helped make this for us, and he's making merch for us and parody merch too. My beard's in the way, so we are expanding our line and into horror parody merch too. So I'm excited for all the stuff we have come out as well. But you are also correct. This gentleman right here is my co-host. Let me move my head.
The guy without the baseball bat.
yes, the other bearded fella, Salem. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
As we are
So
fighting off bad movies. Yeah.
You guys have been the partners since both of you came up with a concept together for the show?
Mm-hmm. So, Salem and I have known each other professionally in our day jobs for about 7 years now.
Oh, wow.
And the whole reason this podcast started was we talk about horror movies all the time. So we started working together. We immediately became friends, hit it off, and then we started playing Destiny 2 together online. And we realized as we were doing this every week for the new weekly resets that we just talk horror movies and give each other ideas. So a little over 3 years ago, we just go, you know what? We should record ourselves doing it and just talk about horror. You know, we never thought we'd ever get to this number, let alone continue to grow and expand and have all these great opportunities that we've been presented.
Right. I want to say when I met you, you weren't brand new by any means. I want to say you maybe 6 months or so, because I want to say maybe you had like 5 or 6 episodes, or maybe even 10 or 12. But wasn't you weren't brand new, but you were still baby. You were still a baby podcast. Because I remember your first podcast on YouTube were like completely black, and it was just your voices. Which I used to love. People have weird things to go to sleep. I used to go to sleep to the sound. I used to go to sleep to the sound of your voice.
My entire family does. It's okay.
So how have things for you evolved? And the other thing too, we talked about all the work that you're doing over at Kyber Cave Productions that you had done for the last year. And we had you on Kyber Cave After Dark as well. So that was, originally where you came in before you blossomed off into doing your own shows. We talked about your podcast, but we haven't even touched on, the hat that you're wearing there that some of the people in the audience, our audience may or may not know about.
Yeah. So this is our distance learning hat. I'm also part of the distance learning on the build on Thursdays. It just has helped me hone the interview skills that I've been able to do and start the new show that I have, Conversations in the Void. We are about 1 year of that now at this point in time too.
Yeah.
So it's and with Kyber Cave and everything else like that, I think I determined in 2023 between all the Kyber Cave stuff, distance learning, and my show, I think I did about 320 episodes online.
Wow. Oh my God, almost as many days of every day of the week you had something produced.
Yeah, I was Kyber Cave 4 to 5 days a week.
Right.
Distance learning on Thursdays, and it would be then gaming with Fours and Captain herself right after that. And then we start doing Friday night gaming or After Dark as well. So yeah, it was a bit much, but
how does obviously if I ask you anything that gets too personal, you don't have to answer or whatever. Don't feel bad or anything. But does it put a strain on I know you're a family man. Does it put a strain on your children? Your children, I think, are older though as well, right? So it's not like they're baby infants or anything. But I know you're also married as well.
Yes. Yeah. So they are 9, 10, and
did you just have an recently?
Did I have what?
I thought you had an anniversary recently that I saw online, but maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, we just celebrated our 14th anniversary back in July.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I turned 40 a month ago today.
Wow.
Yeah, and my oldest just turned 13 like last week. So it's been busy to say the least.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, strain on the family and marriage, because I do stuff after dark, right? That's the entire purpose of the shows that I do is when the kids are asleep, I get to come down here into my office and play.
Right. Do your family participate in the things that you're interested in? Like, are your kids into horror too, or your wife? And that's another interesting thing. Do you ever have to figure out, like, when you watch something where you have to draw the line between what you would be comfortable with your kids seeing, and because here's the thing, I know you and I grew up in a whole different
Yeah.
generation where our parents didn't give a damn, dude. I was watching Freddy Krueger, and Jason Voorhees on the television when I was 5 years old, and parents, then the parents would send you off to sleep in your room. You know what I mean, by yourself. So our parents, well, we were not handheld like the kids nowadays, where it's all we didn't even have PG-13. These were days before there were even ratings. They were just like, take a chance with your kid.
Funny enough is my parents were very, very strict with movies and TV shows growing up. So it was like something like I made friends and I'd go watch scary movies at their houses. So yeah, my mom was very adamant. If I wasn't 17, I could not see an R-rated movie. If I wasn't 13, I couldn't see a PG-13 movie. So it was interesting. And I had this conversation with the wife a lot about what do we let our kids watch. And I don't necessarily care about what they watch as long as they don't get scared and they have questions. They can come talk to us. Like I said, they're 9 and 13 now, which is easily when I was heavy into horror and started that journey. But they don't really like scary movies.
Right.
They know all the characters because of my tattoos.
Right.
And it's just part of our society at this point in time. But yeah, I don't necessarily care. I'm not going to let them watch like Last House on the Left or I Spit on Your Grave, which is exploitation movies to say the least. But like, Friday the 13th, Halloween, I don't care. They can watch that.
Wow. Do you feel like horror is getting better or worse? And I don't just necessarily mean like the movies that we've had lately, were they good or bad, but like the stories that people are having to tell. Have we run out of scary ideas, or are there still more scary stories to tell?
I firmly believe that it is based on societal fears is what makes a good horror movie. Because in the 70s, you have home invasions, you have, let's face it, hippies, the South, and stuff like that people were afraid of. And then the 80s, you had the satanic panic that came out of that time frame. So more things were demonic and stuff like that. But now, I said this years ago, and I'll continue to say this, we don't have many COVID-era horror movies. Primarily because movies were shut down at that point in time. And it's a taboo subject, but I think we'll get more COVID-related horror movies in the next coming years and stuff like that, or movies that take place during that time frame, because there's always like, how do you get people isolated? How do you not have, cell phones, stuff like that? And I think COVID is a perfect way to have a small group of people without being worried about interactions and stuff like that.
Right. There's a comment here from Ubi that says, I feel more like movies in general are getting worse, horror included. We need better scary movies, is what Mixed Oreo says. I feel like in general, when we want to talk about what's available at the movie theater, I don't want to say that horror movies are isolated from this, but I feel like they're more protected than other things. But I feel I was talking to Verona Blue, who does the voice for a Jedi Survivor video game.
And she was in one of the VHS movies. Yeah,
right. And I was asking her, do you feel like, whenever you're an acting student, right, you have to learn about the history of movies, and you go through each decade, and just like how you were talking about how the 70s horror movies were different than the 80s horror movies were different than the 90s. So as a film student, you learn about how movies change in every decade, right? But I feel like almost like since 2000 to now, for like 20 years, like it's just like society just got put on hold and everything became a sequel. You know what I mean? It was Toy Story 4. It was, every single, and these were all movies that were duplicated from the 80s and 90s. They took the greatest hits from the 80s and 90s and just kept rolling them all out. And so I was like, when you're a film student in the year, 2090, and you're looking back at this time period in film, it seems like horror is one of the few. Now, there are a few that, obviously if there's a success, they're going to try to make sequels from it. But horror is one of the few places where I feel like we still might see some fresh and original ideas as opposed to just the same garbage regurgitated over and over again.
I mean, yes and no, because remember, we had 8 Friday the 13th in the 80s. We
Well,
had
that is
we had 6 Nightmare on Elm Streets. We had 4 Halloweens in the 80s. So we had the 80s
and
were
one
an
that
explosion.
had nothing to do with the other.
Right. But you talk about seeing that, and yes, this happened in 2000 as well. Everything's a franchise. We had Saw that was come out on a yearly basis. So I think what you're seeing now is, in the early 2000s and 2010s, you had people our age that were paying homages to the 80s and 90s horror movies. And now we're in that age group where we're now mentoring the 20-year-olds of making movies. Right. So I would say I'd agree that Hollywood horror movies have gotten worse. However, with people able to shoot on their iPhones, people able to shoot with different media, and cameras being so much cheaper now, that the indie horror world is the better place for the new and fresh ideas.
Ubi back here says to me, let's talk about this. To me, the studios are spending too much money so that they're too worried about taking a risk. This is something else that I discussed with Verona, was that I feel like those mid-range movies, or those movies that aren't the big blockbuster $100,000, multi-million-dollar, maybe they're a $200,000 movie. Those mid-range movies that we used to get in the 80s and 90s, that weren't ever supposed to be blockbusters. We lost all of that. This generation doesn't have those anymore. It's either you shoot for the fences or you go for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, have we lost a certain quality of movies because everything has to be a multi-million-dollar success nowadays?
No, I mean, in movies as a whole, yes. In horror movies are notoriously the cheapest movies to make, and they always make a profit, hands down.
Right,
hands down, they always make a profit. So, if you're able to spend $500,000 in a horror movie, you're going to get that back, hands down. So. Right. It's the action movies. It's the stuff that requires bigger set pieces. Your Scorsese's and Francis Ford Coppola and stuff like that. That you are seeing those huge budgets.
Right.
But a horror movie is cheap, quick, dirty to make, and it makes a profit. So they are almost using that as a way to make their money, and they just put out more horror movies as a whole.
Well, I feel like time and time again, it's the lesson that Hollywood keeps learning, is that, especially when people are put under financial pinches, they learned very creative ways to do things that they wouldn't have otherwise done. Jaws, because the shark kept breaking down, they had to find other ways to bring in that tension and that horror elements of the movie. Same thing with Aliens, and even Star Wars had a very limited budget compared to what they would like to have done. And look at it literally, movies nowadays would not be possible without the work that ILM invented, that because they had to, just to get this particular movie done. I think about movies like Blair Witch Project that were just very low key, and I remember how much that the audience went crazy for stuff like that.
Yeah, and doing now independent horror movies myself, that it's you're able to see the creativeness that is there. So people we had Mixed Oreo talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was not made on a lot of money at all. Halloween was not made on a lot of money. Right. And then they became these huge franchises. Working in the indie side, you have people that wear multiple hats. Your cast, your crew, production is 15 people, and that's it. And I think that's a good way to tell a good story, because you have that same feel of what we consider mainstream horror. But like I said, those original horror movies were indie horror movies. They were indie movies by far.
Let's talk about that. Night Vision has an interesting comment. It says, I like listening to real cryptic stories by the fire when I camp. What is it about horror stories, I think, in particular, that really is something that's ingrained into humans, isn't it?
Yes.
Haven't we been telling scary stories since humans could talk?
Yeah, oh, for sure, because it is a way, I feel it's a way to kind of personify the darkness, the woods. Like, why are we afraid of the woods? I mean, there's
because there's
wolves,
scary things in there that might eat us.
right, but the idea is that we normalize the real life horror in our world, and that's just a way to have like that experience of like, oh man, I saw someone get killed on screen, not in real life, thankfully, but on
Right.
screen. So you're triggering that like lizard part of our brain that's triggering like the fight or flight side of it. But knowing that you're okay. It's the same reason why that we like um, roller coasters and skydiving and stuff like that. It's just a way to get adrenaline, but in a safe environment.
Right, 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 right. Do you think there seems to be like a kind of a catharticism that you're talking about, like,
Mhm.
if I see, this scary thing happen, this woman is running away from the scary murderer and she survives, I feel a sense of survival.
Yes.
Do you think it's almost the opposite way when people, and let's talk about music as well. I
Hmm.
remember listening to an interview with Ozzy Osbourne, and he was saying that when Black Sabbath, they tried to create a horror movie on record. That was
Yes.
their what they tried to do, is they tried to emulate a horror movie, but just with audio sounds. Um, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. What was I? What was I? I totally jumped the track.
Or you just kind of talking about music and like the ambiance of it all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like horror has a very special place. We were talking about campfires, and
Hmm.
they were Night Vision was saying that I like listening to cryptic stories, and we talked about how that seems to go back and how
Yeah.
it seems to be something innate in human beings that we like to listen to these horrible stories, even so much to the point where Black Sabbath creates an entire genre of music
Hmm.
based on these scary movies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and, let's face it, because we didn't write things down as society for a very, very long time, that the auditory part of it is part of our history too. As Night Vision was saying, that we told scary stories. So these stories and these legends that are in our heads were passed down verbally.
Right. Right, 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 right. And do we like being scared?
Hmm.
Is there, I mean, is
Oh,
that something
yeah.
psychological? Is that adrenaline rush, like what we
Hmm.
go after or what we enjoy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, people may not like scary movies, but everyone's seen one. I mean,
Right,
they may not like the blood or gore, but if it's gets into your head, that's a good horror movie. Like if you're afraid to take out your trash in the middle of the night, even though you're
right,
like in a neighborhood, that's scary, right? So
right,
it's a good way to have that fear, but like I said, in that controlled environment.
right. Now you got started. We talked about your podcast, and now you have evolved. You've gotten involved in real live filming. You
Hmm.
even have an IMD. You're fancy, fancy. You even got an IMD page for your
Yes.
acting credits that you have done. And I don't know if you got any writing or producing credits as
Yes.
well. But do you find it hard, or do you find it more pressure being on the other side, knowing like, okay, it might take a lot to get you scared. So how do you get somebody else scared?
With through writing stuff, I actually co-wrote something about 70-ish% of it that we filmed in July. A good chunk of it. We have some pickup shots to do. I think it's more of telling a good story than necessarily scaring someone, right? You want to have some fear into it and stuff like that, right? I look at it from when I'm writing or now as assistant directing and directing as well, that I want to see what I could do to kind of push the limit and invoke the idea of that imagination, because it's better to imply than to show. Like with he's talking about with Bruce the shark from Jaws,
Right,
use with the simple soundtrack of the piano for the shark, your mind's already filling in the gaps for you. So it's not going to be explicitly shown, and the graphic gore and violence is very heavily implied with a lot of stuff we do.
That makes me think of one of the most beloved and classic scenes of any movie from all time is the movie Psycho, right? In the
Hmm.
bathtub scene, you never actually see this woman get stabbed. You never see her. All
Yeah.
you see is the implied darkened blood in the water and her screaming and the knife coming up and down, but you never actually. But that's almost just as so much to the point that the actress that played in that scene refused to take a shower
Hmm.
without her husband standing right outside the shower door every time for the rest of her life.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone swears they saw her get stabbed in that movie, 1960. Never
Right,
happened.
right.
And we recently just wrapped up in August the on the on the podcast, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Everyone goes, love that movie. Okay, so that movie came out in 1972.
Wow.
It wasn't until 2012 do you actually see a chainsaw touch someone. It took 40 years of Texas Chainsaw movies for a Texas to see a show chainsaw actually go into a person.
Really?
Yeah.
Do we just somehow in our head remember it scarier than it was? Do
Hmm.
we do that with movies?
Oh, for sure.
Are movies in
Because
our head scarier than they were like when we rewatch
yes,
them?
yeah. Because the idea is, am I hitting my desk? Yeah. Sorry. The idea is that we imply the horror just because we fill it in, right? So do we see the witch in Blair Witch Project? No, we don't.
Right.
But our imaginations are going to be scarier than anything they can ever put on the screen. So I think that's a good way to
Wow.
to terrify someone, that you're never going to be more terrified than your own imagination. The beer goes thump in the night. Yeah.
Wow, that is excellent. Do you think about that when you're a writer? Or do you thinking about that in scenes? Are you thinking about how the person in the chair is being affected by what's happening on the screen right now?
Yeah, yeah. We, like I said, especially the movie that they're making is called The Harvester. It's not done yet. We're editing right now, but we are looking at shots of how we're doing it and like what we think would be terrifying to do. We want to build that ambiance, and we want to have some imagination in there. So we are putting scenes of the creature, which I can't spoil at all, in the background of things. So we know it's there when we're making it and we're shooting it, but we have it slightly askew and not really have the characters notice anything that's there, right? Because it's going to be like, oh, I caught that, or did I just see that, and have people rewind to watch it. So,
Right,
and
right.
that's kind of like what we're doing. We're having a little bit of lots of people do it. All right, you have to watch the backgrounds. So we're trying to make a horror movie that isn't just put on and then go do the dishes. We want people to have to be
Right.
invested and watch it.
Right. I'm always fascinated by those movies like, Sixth Sense or something like that when you
Hmm.
have to watch it a second time through. Because once you watch it the first time, like, oh my God, dude, that makes total sense. Now I got to go back and rewatch it just to see where he had given me clues, but I didn't
Hmm.
know that they were clues at that moment.
Right, right. So yeah, you call it Easter eggs, you call it little sub details, adding. You call it the Mike Flanagan effect. That's the most popular person doing it right now, and we are writing something right now. I had Josh from Horror Dads meet my wife for the first time this past weekend, or this
Right.
weekend actually, and we're working on something that we're hoping to get an actual budget for, and we're starting to throw in the Occam razors, right, where you have a item that you just pan to the camera very so slightly, and then it pays off later into the film.
Right. It's that old adage: if a shotgun ends up on film, it's got to be paid off somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there? Do you have your hands in so many different pots? You're doing video game shows. You're doing current, kind of like theories and nerd out type of shows. You do, obviously the horror.
Mhm.
How do you have any one genre that you love above the others? Is horror kind of like the basis, and the other things are things? It just seems like you've got your hands in so many different pots.
Yeah.
It's hard to see how you keep them all stirring.
I mean, it is, and that's why I had to step away, especially this summer, from Kyber Cave, and really lots of other stuff that I've been doing is to focus on the filmmaking that we're currently working on. I love video games a lot. They take a lot of time.
Right.
A good video game takes you dozens of hours. So, like I said, I have Star Wars Outlaws here. Have I opened it? No, I haven't. But um, it's just it is really hard to find a lot of time for this stuff. So, it's just between the writing and everything else like that. It is difficult. Yeah.
Right. Do you have anything? Do you go through phases where there's things that maybe you enjoy more, or is it just like, okay, this is, we finished this project that's over here, um, to the
Hmm.
next project, whether it's filming, whether it's doing the podcast, whether it's, and I'm sure, have you been doing many of these types of interviews at all?
I actually got so fun thing that happened over this past summer was a Paramount executive reached out to me in June.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. So he's actually introducing me and helping me get some of these older, bigger horror icon names onto Conversations of the Void. And he's bringing me to other shows to help promote other stuff I'm doing. So I'm kind of getting into like that PR agent aspect of this world now.
Right.
So
Right.
we are booking stuff, and I got introduced to, you talk about the Ozzy Osbourne, right?
Right.
I am working on a reality TV show that we've talked about before off screen that I wanted to do. I am creating a pitch deck. It has been made, and I
Mhm.
am pitching it to the reality producer of the Osbournes.
Oh, wow. Woohoo. Go
So
you. It's crazy how the world works, huh?
yeah. So through this Zach too, that he's introduced me to all these people. I know that guy personally now. I know John D. Hancock, who originally wrote the screenplay for Jaws 2,
Oh, wow.
who's 35 miles away from me with their production company, and just here
Wow.
in Indiana. So
Yeah.
we are working on pitch decks and ideas to get funding and get our bigger budgets for horror movies. So
Right. Right.
it's an interesting past year for me, to say the least.
Right. Wow. Has it been one thing? It just seems like almost by being so busy and having your hands everywhere, that's
Hmm.
how you kind of got noticed, was that you were just kind of all over the place, and
Yeah.
you were just meeting people left and right through all these different connections.
Oh yeah, it for sure. And I think it's just been absolutely amazing. It's mind-boggling to say the least. Like I'll be talking to him, and he's like, it's 2 weeks ago. He's like, hey, I was speaking to Craig T. Nelson about you and coming on your show. I'm like, Coach,
Wow.
Coach knows about me now. Come on.
Right. Wow.
It's just it's just insane to me. And my wife goes, "Why do people want to talk to you?" I go, "I don't know. They just do."
Right. Well, you know what, dude? It's funny. I remember, um, because we do this show every
Hmm.
what Mez said, that we're over 200 shows now. We're at like 203 or something like that. Which, by the way, Mike, you did say something about a Saber. I think that's an excellent giveaway idea. I think we should do like a giveaway here soon.
Yeah.
A really nice one, because we missed our 200. At any rate, and I remember, after having met you and talked to you for the first time, the same thing happened with Anthony Allen. After I interviewed him, I was like, dude, I got to work with that guy. Like, I don't know, what we're like gonna do. You know what I mean? I have no idea what we could do together. But there's
Right.
just something about this guy who just has this, almost like a like it's like a diamond in a pile of rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have a dynamic personality thing. And there's something that I think is very endearing about you, especially when people listen to you and hear what you have to say and know how knowledgeable you are about your topics.
Oh yeah, and that's why Horror Dads invited me also in June to be part of their crew, because I've been working with them on a number of things, and they just go, Matt knows everything about horror. And like, I don't think everything, but I know a lot. And so it's just the work ethic that I take. I work very hard on what I do, and I take that to every project I work on. So I think it's just get along with people. It's just don't be an a-hole. It's not hard to not be one. So, and that's just the mentality I have. It's just like, I like doing what I do. Eventually I want to quit my day job and do only this.
And all of this, I remember when we first met and started talking, and even, I think even as much as like 7-8 months ago, you still had a very strong passion for brewing. I remember you were trying to get your own brewing company off the ground as well. So, I mean, you're just all over the place.
If I do it again, it'll be my third one. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because we had tornadoes in this area a couple weeks ago, and Salem, his fence got torn down, like half of it taken down through the tornadoes.
Oh, wow.
And so I helped him repair it, because I also do handiwork too. But he's like, "Hey, I'm giving you this brew system, so you can brew again." Like, all right.
Wow. So you're going to be doing that out of your garage too?
Yeah.
While you're doing a podcast over here.
All the time I have. Yeah. I don't know.
You do it literally while you're sleeping.
Oh, pretty much. Yeah. But the idea with the, if you want to talk a little bit, I know we're time-wise, States Unknown, the show that we are working on, that we are going to be professionally pitching to people, as you know, we talked about. It's going to be a reality show where we go and actually debunk paranormal, supernatural things. So the movies that we're making is about this stuff. We're going to go actually do like a scientific approach, get experts involved, and do a community type building event, and go to small town USA, talk about these stories, learn the history and everything behind it, talk to people, and then kind of like figure out what's actually going on.
Wow.
So,
it's the area that I live in, there's a lot of like creepies. You know that movie? Have you ever seen that movie Witchboard? And
yes.
Then there was a Witchboard 2 or something that was filmed like right at the community college where I used to work. But apparently that's based off of I believe a true story about a Ouija board incident or something like that. You should come out to Fairfield and investigate that stuff.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, we were going to do that show, first season of the pilot on YouTube and put it somewhere, but now we have all these connections from me doing Conversation in the Void and having that exact now too. So I can just say, I have this product, help me film the pilot, and then we'll sell it.
That's incredible, man. That is absolutely incredible. So are you just got 100 things to be excited about all at the same time?
Oh,
everything
for
is
sure.
going well for you.
Other than my AC being busted, but other than that,
everything is awesome.
It's just what we're trying to do. And like I said, States Unknown will be me and someone else traveling to each state, doing 5 to 8 stories per state, which I think will just be absolutely awesome. Like I said, maybe I can get money to quit my day job and focus on content creation like that instead.
Right. You can be on the road in like one of those little minivan camper things, and you can be like investing, get stuff on the internet. We're going to Iowa. We're going to learn about all the creepy things in Iowa.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we've already
talked about cryptids.
Yes.
Ooh.
Well, absolutely. I know someone who knows the family that created the Frogman of Loveland, Ohio. And so I know those contacts now. It's something that we're building, and we're going to go to each state and have guest investigators at each state. So I have people in Montana that are investigating with me. I definitely know I have people in California when I go out there.
Yes. In fact, there's the okay. So I used to do a show. We have had different bands and stuff. One of the rock bands that we used to have, Soul Feeder. I remember the lead singer, and I still have contact with him. His wife runs a paranormal investigation group, and they go to like different graveyards and different, supposed sites in California, because there's supposedly like a lot of haunted sites, especially with the gold mining towns and all
Yeah.
that stuff out here. Ooh.
Yeah, Night Vision, I'll let you.
I once did a poetry slam at a haunted house. I didn't see the ghosts or anything, but yeah.
Oh, and that's kind of the premise of the show, right? And this is the example I will say every single time is if you go into a place and you say, if you're a woman and you go into this room at 3 a.m., the back of your left knee will be touched. Well, if you send a woman there at 3 a.m., the back of her left knee will be touched because it's already ingrained into your head.
Right.
So that's why we'll not have that type of thing. We're going to essentially know nothing for ghost hunts as investigators, and then we corroborate what we experience with what the stories are after the fact. Right. So we can do that. We'll just be persuaded in our heads that if we go there looking for ghosts, we're going to find ghosts.
Right.
If we go there looking for nothing and we find something, that's something completely different.
Night Vision says, let me know when you're coming out to Maine.
I will actually be in Connecticut March of next year filming the movie, so it's close. It's not Maine, but it's closer than here.
So as far as yourself though, do you think if I were to say, do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in ghosts?
Ghosts that you think of that you have? No, I think energy cannot be created nor destroyed, so it goes somewhere.
It can only be displaced. That's right.
Yep.
Very interesting. Do you believe in the cryptids?
No, not at all.
Do you believe in aliens?
Yes, I believe there's alien life out there. Do I believe it has visited Earth? No.
Yes. I have my thoughts on that too. You know what I think as far as that is, and you can call me crazy or whatever. I definitely think aliens exist. The mathematical possibility, there's no way that they don't exist. But what I think it is that we just little ants right now. Like we don't know crap about technology. And so to like a real alien, first off, you would, if an alien was visiting your planet, you would never want to try to befriend them. They will annihilate. If they have the technology to be able to start visiting your planet, you're in trouble, buddy. Because it's just the history of the world. Whoever has the greater technology is going to take over who has the least technology. So you don't ever want, and it's probably a good thing that they don't know we exist at this point, because we would get totally annihilated or enslaved.
Yeah. So there's this thing called the dark forest theory, right?
No.
And so the idea, aliens confirmed, aliens are real, yes. But the dark forest theory is if you are an animal in the dark forest at night, do you find something that's making no noise or something that's making noise?
Something that's making noise.
And here we are on Earth going to the world, to the universe. Hey, we're right here. And no one's responding. We're the only ones making noise.
Right.
So is that good or bad?
We're going to get eaten by an owl, bro.
Exactly.
I don't like it. Oh man, this has been, I can't believe time is already going so fast. What do you have? I mean, I know just in these last year or two, things have moved. I mean, almost at a breakneck speed for you. But it's almost because you've been burning the candle at 3 different sides, let alone 2 different sides. Yeah. I mean, it seems like the more you put yourself out there, the more blessings have been, put upon your back. What do you see happening in the next couple of years with all that's going on with you?
My goal in 2025 is to fully write and direct a movie. I have a couple of shorts that I'm planning on the rest of this year. And then continue to grow the Horror Dads productions. We are doing our first convention in this area the weekend before Thanksgiving, Days of the Dead. So we'll have a table there, and I'll be part of that crew. But I'll also be part of the Mostly Pot of Night and Conversation in the Void. So we are getting to more radars than before. I'm hoping that States Unknown gets picked up in 2025. We can start filming that too. So so next year, just alone 3 movies and the TV show.
Man. And how do you I mean, well, I guess you'll figure it out with your family, huh? When success comes knocking, you don't You don't say
Yeah.
you gotta wait.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, with the podcast, that's never going away. So,
Right.
that's already 10 hours of my week from movie watching, writing, editing, recording, stuff like that.
Right.
I need to come back to Kyber Cave once my weekends are free here in the next couple of weeks. Go back to retro gaming, to the Retro Alcove, just because there's so much to talk about and to do.
Right. Right.
And yeah, and then with all my other free time,
Yeah.
I
All of
want to, yeah, all of it.
it.
Maybe I keep talking about this, kicking off my own Twitch stream for the horror video game side of the thing too, just to expand the brand. So I'll be on YouTube. I'll have a talk
Right.
show. I'll have a Twitch gaming show, and I'll be making movies.
Do you want to be known as that well, Blood Lord Raw,
Hmm.
Lord Blood Raw, kind of known as like that horror guy. Is that like, would you like to be known as that? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
go-to guy for any horror knowledge that you might need?
I think so. Yeah, it's something I definitely want to do. Obviously, with what I do in an interview show, everyone has horror podcasts and interview shows. What I'm trying to do is talk to everyone and anyone. I had Mick Strawn, who did production design on the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, but he's an artist. He's production design. No one
Right.
gives him the light of day at conventions.
Right, right.
So I like talking to all the behind the scenes people too that make movies possible, and I'm hoping to grow and be able to talk to people like Bruce Campbell, Nev Campbell, stuff like that, and be able to get bigger names, but also talk to the behind the scenes people and the indie people and stuff like that too.
That is absolutely amazing, man. Well, I wish you, of course, we love you at Kyber Cave, but I understand when other things are happening, and I wish you nothing but the best in your success. You're a
Thank you.
fantastic dude. I've ever since our first interview where I got a chance to meet you, and I met you through Mez, who I guess met you
Yes.
through the new Rockstars Discord. So,
Yeah, and through that too, we cast Tommy Bechtel in our movie in March. So,
oh wow, nice,
so
beautiful. Well, I mean, that's crazy how the world works.
mhm.
Well, I am excited for that, my friend.
Thank you.
And I, definitely as we get closer, or if you have new things that are coming out that you want to promote and stuff like that, let us know. So we can get the word out there as much as possible about what you're doing. It is all
Awesome.
very exciting. If any of you guys want to catch up with Graveyard, find out what he is doing, what he has done, all of the trails that he has left all over, all of the goodness, you will be able to find his bio and his information in our little description box there. Mezzo
Yes.
always does a great job of listing all of that stuff. Also, too, don't forget to go to Kyber K Productions. If you go down on the playlist, he has some fantastic shows. Saturday morning Nerd Out is a fantastic show. Retro Alcove. Thursday night. You guys had different names for your Thursday night games, though. So.
Yeah, it was just Kyber Cave Gaming on Thursdays.
Yeah, Kyber Cave Gaming in general. Yeah.
But don't forget, Mezzo's working on the new show too. That we do.
Are you with the Aubrey show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You'll see me there too.
Are you in there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited for that one. That's the one that I've been waiting for. We also have, just to let you guys know too, we have another producer who is coming to Kyber Cave named Ron Mullins. He is going to be doing a bunch of skits and shorts and stuff like that. He is a cosplayer that goes out to all these shows, but he specializes in little comedy skits and stuff. So we have fresh and exciting stuff still coming to Kyber Cave. But as always, Graveyard, please stay in touch, my brother. I always love talking to you, and you are an inspiration to other people who, because, a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know the first thing about starting a podcast, or I wouldn't know what to do if I wanted to start a horror show. Just get it going. And, 2 years later, who knows where you're going to be.
Oh yeah. and just like I said, just be kind, be nice, talk to anyone and everyone that wants to talk to you. That's all you can do.
Right. You never know where connections are going to lead. All right, my brother, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me on.
I love you always, and again, let us know when things are popping, and we will promote you always.
Awesome.
All right, brother. All
All
right,
right.
let's roll that film.
Woo! Okay, Van will unmute in a moment.
Am I
Eventually,
not
there he
unmute?
goes. Okay, yeah, you're no, you're delayed when you're unmute and mute. So like
Oh yeah.
right now, when a video starts, I remove you, and then I add you when the video ends. But
Oh man,
anyway,
that was fantastic. I I always, whenever one of my homies or one of my friends or whatever, whenever they're doing good in life, I just always got to sit back and give them that daddy smile. You know what I mean? Like, I know I have nothing to
yes.
do at all with their success, but you just got to feel like, I'm so proud of you, bro. That
Yes.
was
I'm
graveyard.
excited by a lot of stuff that he's got going. Great show, Mixorio. Thank you very much. Yeah, Graveyard's got a lot of really cool projects heading up. I'm actually on the deck in a sense to be an editor for Unknown States if that gets going and stuff like that.
Woo!
Then I might, who knows, if he comes to California,
Hey,
I'm gonna be joining for one of the shows, and then I'll be like editing myself, going, oh. I'm not a fan of editing myself, but like, a lot of people aren't fans of like hearing themselves or something like that. Anyway, so I very much enjoyed getting to hear him catch up when Graveyard and I have like never stopped talking, even when he hasn't been on KCP. But it's nice to kind of hear everything he's been doing condensed more into one area so that you can like kind of like just review it in a sense. So it was really, really cool to kind of hear everything he's been going. But I do incredibly miss Retro Alcove because that's like my jam when it comes to games and stuff. Nick Storio says, yeah, my music sucks. Your music sucks. What? Hi, Demi. That's my friend Demi from Discord. I know
Hello,
exactly who you
Demi.
are. Demi photo mode. Totally different name on Discord slightly. The first part is the only thing that's the same. Thank you for joining in and saying hi. Anyway, so that was a very great interview. Thank you, Graveyard, for coming on. It's such a good friend
Yay!
and known him for ages. And it's great, like you mentioned, Tommy and meeting him through New Rockstars and being able to cast him for a movie next year. And it's just great, all the different connections that you make over time and what it ends up
And we
coming
had
into in
Kutami
the end.
at our KyberCon 3.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's just Tommy was great, very friendly. We all went to dinner afterwards and had a great time just chatting with Tommy and Eric Voss for like, gosh, an hour and a half or something, just chatting with them about not just content creation, but passion in general and fun memories. Because when you're at Olive Garden, Olive Garden, your family.
Your family.
Yeah.
And then John
Anyways.
Michaels sitting next to Tommy, so
Yeah,
we were just
John
surrounded
D.
by.
Michaels, if you guys don't know who that is, he's been a host on the show occasionally, but he's actually been a guest as well. He's been on After Dark as well when we used to have that show. He is an actor who played one of the VIPs on Squid Game. And he's a good friend that we have on Facebook. And he actually came to Vacaville recently for a con.
Vacacon.
VacaCon, and I got to hang out with him for the day as his guest, which was really, really cool. And I actually I took pictures of him during his panel to send to him.
You were the
So-
VIP for the VIP.
I was the VIP no, he had his good friend there. She was the VIP, and she was beautiful and amazing. That's the friend he stays with when he's here visiting. But he lives in Korea currently. So he's not here very often. So the fact that I got to see him twice in like a year and a half span was pretty spectacular. All right. So guys, next on our show, we have our segment. I don't know why Van's telling me to hold on. I think he's saying, hang on, I need to fix my issue or whatever. That's Van. He's left and he's going to come back. So we do Guess That Saber on our show, which is kind of like a Guess That Pokemon, but it's Guess That Saber. And so I have a couple sabers for you guys to guess. They aren't necessarily incredibly hard, but they aren't necessarily incredibly easy. So here we get going on Guess That Saber. So like, let's see. Can you figure out what saber this is? Can you figure it out? Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as well. Van's on his way back in, so maybe he can join us and tell us which saber this is. I'm pretty sure he'll figure it out eventually when he joins me from down below in the darkness. Anybody in the chat, go ahead and say what you think this saber is. I should come up with some music that gives us like 10 seconds of people just like trying to figure out the music. Like, let me see. I don't have. I'm trying.
Can you hear me?
I don't have. Yes. I'm giving people a few minutes of music to guess what the saber is.
Wow, that's really good. That's like cool lo-fi.
Anybody know what the saber is? Do you know what it is, Van?
I know what it is right away. It's not as hard.
It's not necessarily assigned to one specific person over time. It has traveled across the galaxies, and it is the dark saber. So if you guys don't know what the dark saber looks like, it's not the traditional saber blade, which is like a long, sorry, I hit my mic, cylindrical tube. It is actually like a flat blade, and it's black in the center and white on the edge, the outside. It is pretty epic saber to see. I've not seen one myself in person, actually.
We have one at the store right now.
I know. I've only ever seen pictures or like seen it in the shows and the movies or whatnot. So that is the first saber. The second saber. Can you figure this one out?
Ooh, okay.
I even can't remember what it is, and I just made this 2 days ago.
I'm gonna do a guess in our private.
He's guessing in the private chat. Ooh. Yeah, if you guys don't know, the guest and the host have a private comment chat that they can use to talk to each other if needed. We rarely use it, but it's there just in case, and that's how StreamYard works. It's one of the many things that StreamYard has. I can hear you typing.
I'm going to totally destroy her name. But I'm sorry. I'm going to totally destroy this person's name.
That is not who it is.
It is not? Oh.
No. All right, guys. This saber belongs to Kit Fisto.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're so...
Yeah.
So I said Illuminari, and Kit Fisto, Plo Koon, Illuminari... Oh, no, Plo Koon has like more of like a pointed point, but... They're very similar to what we call clan sabers, which is what our Shicho, our first saber, Kyber Cave exclusive, is based off of. But Kit Fisto, yes, that's a good saber too.
Yes, that was when I thought it was pretty cool, and I was like, you know what? Not a lot of everybody knows about that character. It's like some people do, some people don't. So it wasn't nearly as hard as Celeste Moore. A couple weeks ago, where I gave like a whole backstory of that character.
This has quickly become my favorite part of the show, in not so much because of like the sabers, but listening to you give descriptions of the history of these. When I know for a fact that like half the time you don't even know who half the people are that you're talking about, but you do it with such passion.
Well, because I am excited, especially like it's hard to describe, but a lot of people knew that when I first joined the channel, like I enjoyed Star Wars, but I wasn't like a massive hardcore fan. But I thought I need to know more stuff, and when I saw like Celeste Moore, and I was like, I never heard of that character, and so I go look it up. I'm like, that's a really interesting story. I want to share that with them because a lot of them probably won't know, because not everybody realizes. If you're a casual Star Wars fan, not everybody realizes that there is a written canon. There is graphic novels and books, all the backstory deep down, things in the past that have Luke in it, that have different characters that you've seen on the screen. They're also written in different books and graphic novels and such. So I always thought that was, I thought that was really cool. So I was like, I gotta share this, and so of course there was like excitement behind it.
Right. And you know what? On that note, I want to say, I'm going to do a special treat for everybody that's online right now. All of our friends that have stayed through the interview and have made it this far. I'm going to let you know. Mike Judge had brought up the good point about I should have done a saber giveaway for the 200. So next show is what, 204 or something like that. We will do a NeoPixel giveaway next week.
Ooh, that's
and so there's 10 people online now. Now you 10 people will have the advantage of knowing that next week we will give a NeoPixel Saber away. Not sure which NeoPixel it will be. I got to look in the shop and see what we have available. But it will be a NeoPixel, and it'll be like a Canon Saber. So it'll be a very, very nice, expensive Saber. I am so thankful, and I'm privileged to have so many people that have stuck with us for 200 shows, 200 plus shows, a brand new friends that we've met online, friends that we've met at conventions, that I see coming back regularly every week now. I want to thank you guys. I mean, literally, this is not possible without you guys.
I think Van's getting sappy, guys.
I'm
getting a little sappy. No, we are incredibly thankful for all of you that come every week. And even if you don't get to come every week, we're incredibly thankful for you sticking with us and hanging out with us
when you can.
Coming back when you can and nerding out. We just really enjoy having company and nerding out together. So thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to look for our past shows if you haven't seen them before. All of our episodes are really interesting. And if you don't want to, some of the nerdy news might be a little bit outdated if you see that part. But if you just want to see the interview, you can just jump forward to that part as well.
There's always great flow artists every week too.
Yeah, there's great flow artists you can check out every week. When I joined the channel, I'm not sure how it was exactly before I joined, but all the information of every guest and flows in the description. So you can check those out. Thank you so much for joining us, and you guys have a great week.
Don't forget to check out to our websites. Hit him with all the different places there. My brain's not working.
All right. If you want to visit Kyber Cave's website, you go to kybercave.com. You can see all the sabers and the really cool merch that they have. You can also check out kcpmerch.com. That is our merch channel, which you can see Kyber Cave stuff. Kyber Cave production stuff like Retro Alcove even has their own sign and logos, and even a Pilsner like beer glass. Yes, a beer glass. There's a phone case, there's notebooks, there's all a bunch of good stuff on there. If you want to just check out our patreon.com/Kyber Cave Productions, you can support us for as little as $1 a month. In the top 2 tiers, you can actually, if you sub for those 3 or more months, you are automatically entered into the May 4th special saber giveaway. They're custom sabers and such. So please check us all out. Hit like and subscribe and share our channel. We would love to get to 3,000 subscribers in the future. So thank you all for joining us, and please enjoy the end of our show, which is Talk of the Town. See you later.
Thanks, Duran. Thanks, guys. Talk of the Town.